Ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues and listeners, here we are again, another podcast session, and I'm so pleased to announce our next guest, who is Andrew Pearce, who's the Regional Director of Sales for Flying Colours Corp. Andrew, lovely to have you on board, sir.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Now, Andrew, what we normally do is we ask our guests just to give us a little bit of an insight, a little bit of detail as to what they do and, and what the company is all about. And then as soon as we've done that, I'll be asking you a very obvious question about how things have panned out during the pandemic.
Right, sir. Very good. So, yes, I am the Regional Director for Flying Colours here in Europe. I'm based in the UK and cover Europe, of course, and Middle East and bits of Africa. Yeah. I've been on board a couple of years now. It's Flying Colours, of course, are principally an MRO maintenance organization with completion capability, avionic upgrade capability, and interior upgrades. So we cover the full gambit of corporate aviation, certainly on the Bombardier product. And we do look after other types of aircraft as well. So it's an exciting time. It's the first step outside of North America the company has taken to have somebody represent them here in Europe. I know we have our Singapore office, of course, but that is more focused on pure interior upgrades and warranty work, really. So yes, it's an exciting time. There's plenty going on.
Fantastic. So for those who are listening now and they want to know what actually happens under the banner of Flying Colours Corp, would it be fair to say it's a little bit like Pimp My Plane?
Yes, that's one fair description, I guess. Absolutely. I'd rather look at it as upgrading, sir. Yeah. Improvements.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some.
I agree. It's just that, you see that pimp my bike, pimp my car.
Yeah.
I mean, it just reminded me, because obviously what you're doing is, comprehensive maintenance, repair, overhaul services,
sure.
Completions, refurbishment, exterior paint, engineering, avionics installations, and all sorts of upgrades. Yeah. So it's a really, really big profile there. And you do it under the banner of flexibility, integrity, and innovation.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Which is superb. Now, can I ask you something? So let's move away. Let's say the upgrades. What are the areas of most involvement that you get asked to to support?
Well, we cover certainly three main areas, which are avionic cockpit upgrades.
Yeah.
Because there's always developments. We've had ADS-B out over the last few years, fans, which is North Atlantic track improvements. And then you get a second group, which is basically the cabin connectivity and upgrades in terms of avionic lead, KA band, KU band, where people can do what they want and watch movies, email, do what they need to do. And then, of course, we have the cabin refurbishing side and upgrade side, where you may have a configuration change, re-leathering seats or carpet changes. So they're the three principal areas. And of course, maintenance, which we lead on because airplanes obviously have their calendar due items. We know when a 10-year inspection, a 5-year inspection is coming round, and owners recognize and respect the fact that if they want any upgrades doing, that is a good time to do it. So we'll lead with the maintenance, and then if they want to paint the aeroplane or do some changes inside, we'll do that at the same time.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing thing, and I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, but now with such high demand for private aviation, that to improve the spec and to make the aircraft more appealing to a different audience, you're going to be, I would have thought, inundated with business opportunities over the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are busy right now, which is a great thing. There's a lot of interest. People also look at the upgrades from an asset protection point of view as well.
Yeah.
And that's supported as well by those financing banks that the owners may be dealing with. So, there's pluses all the way around. And, you can make a 20-year-old Global Express look like a 1-year-old Global 6000. You can make it interior-wise certainly look just like a brand new airplane. And exterior-wise, of course, with lovely paint.
Exactly. Andrew, you're saying there about, sort of balancing or enhancing the value of the asset. How much difference does it actually make to an asset when you upgrade it?
Yeah, it's very difficult to put a specific figure on it because pricing on aeroplanes and values of aeroplanes are driven by the market itself. So if demand is strong, prices tend to be firmer and higher. When it's weak, they're down. I think in the down times, by doing the work we can do, you're making it a shinier apple when comparing it to others.
Yeah.
So it is an enhancement. You may not get all that value back you just put into the aeroplane, but it does help secure its asset value as much as possible. And of course, in up cycles of the market, then you are again comparing apples with apples and making one shinier than maybe the one next door or one down the road. So that's the basis, I think.
Yeah, no, good. Now, Andrew, obviously, what I said at the beginning is, how did the pandemic, what sort of effect did it have on you and your business?
Well, it's very interesting. I mean, I think the most evident thing that's happened is that people had to reschedule everything. So this time last year, as we all went into lockdown around the world, airplanes were parked up. And then there was a run of inquiries as to whether this was a good time to do maintenance because people couldn't travel anywhere. And then it got even harder. So people then didn't want to cross countries or go to other continents and so forth. But clearly then, with the advent of vaccines and the light at the end of the tunnel, there's been another shift. So people who are maybe looking at having a 10-year inspection later this year, they want to do it now because they want to be flying later this year. So they don't want to put the airplane down for 2 months when they could be flying. So there's been this strong demand across both our facilities in North America that, can you do it now? And I've probably lost a couple of opportunities simply because we're full. And an owner in the Middle East or whatever had said, "Oh, can you do it next week or can you do it next month?" And we've just simply been unable to facilitate that. But it's encouraging that these people are flexible in their own right. We have to move and be flexible with them as much as we can be. But they're ready to fly. They're looking forward. They see a light at the end of the tunnel, and the world will open up again.
Yeah, I think it's going to open up a lot faster than anybody anticipated. I mean, most people hoped it would, but I think the reality is now it's going to be a big explosion of demand.
Yep.
As soon as everything, we're all using these terms about build back better. I prefer bring back better, but there's definitely going to be a bounce back better. And it's going to be a bigger bounce than anybody ever expected. So everybody's on a rush now, aren't they, to make sure that all of their equipment, whether it's aircraft or other equipment that hasn't been used, is serviced back, ready to go, passes all its checks, etc.
Yeah.
So
and I think from a business aviation point of view, it's going to be better prepared for that bounce. Yeah. Because whereas the airlines aren't quite so prepared, they've dropped certain routes, they've drop certain schedules, and they have to reactivate that process and if the customers are coming back, then they'll do that probably over a year or 2 year period. Whereas, if you've got your corporate business jet and it's all up to tickety-boo ready to go, you can go tomorrow morning. Yeah,
which is another plus point again for the private aviation, as well as the touch points and the sterilization and everything else that's in its favor.
Absolutely. As I may have mentioned, there's a new justification to having a business aircraft. There's a corporate jet. To keep people safe, they can go direct point to point. All the classics that maybe over the last 10 years or so has been harder to justify because there've been so many carriers, so many airlines going in every direction, whereas now they're not. And so these guys need to get to their factories, they need to get to their customers, and they want to do it quickly and efficiently.
Also, one of the things I've noticed is when I tell people where I live, there's more people now know of a couple of the small airfields close to me because they've either experienced private aviation or they're thinking of doing it.
Right.
And it has that convenience element to it as well, which is incredible. Yeah, Andrew, some of the things that I've noticed now is when I tell people where I've lived, there's a lot more of them start talking about a couple of the airfields that are very close to me, either because they've experienced private aviation themselves or they know people who are looking to do it, and because of the convenience factor which is a huge plus point now for business people moving forward. And also, dare I say, the fact that I think a lot of business meetings that require that face-to-face, they'll probably be arranged at various FBOs so that they're specifically for the meeting, and then people can depart very quickly and get back to their own headquarters.
Yep, absolutely. I'm with you there, Chris. That's definitely going to start happening. And, you know, we've all been to the Farnboroughs and the Lutons and the Signatures, and we've seen these fantastic facilities, which have always really, in a sense, been underutilized. You know, people arrive, they go straight through one door, out the back door into the aeroplane. Whereas now, those lovely meeting rooms and locations can be utilized. I agree with you. I think people will start to do that.
Now, as far as the MRO is concerned, your, shall we say, your toolkit or your list of capabilities, they include major and minor airframe modifications and structural repair, the routine calendar hourly and monthly inspections, landing gear overhaul. You've got a whole gambit of services that are provided. Which of those services would you say are the most common that your guys exercise?
Well, we cover the full Monty of various inspections, and my colleagues in North America will be picking up 6-month inspections, monthly inspections, drop-ins. They'll be doing all that. For me personally here in Europe, the focus tends to be on the heavier, broader calendar inputs, the 5 years, the 10 years, up to the 20 years, because people obviously clearly have to justify going across the Atlantic. So, and what we try and do to make ourselves even more attractive is, as I say, we try and expand the package beyond just pure maintenance to little bits of interior work, the odd upgrade here and there, or major upgrade, of course. I've got a project that's ongoing right now, which is on a 20-year-old global. They're doing a cabin management system upgrade. They're having the airplane painted. They're putting some soundproofing in, as well as doing that 20-year inspection and landing gear restoration, etc. So it's a lovely, big, chunky package. And they're the areas I tend to be more approached about as against a 15-month or a 12-month or 6-month.
Okay, understood. And something I wanted to ask you about, you also reference mobile teams for off-site AOG support.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir, absolutely. We have teams, again, in Canada and in St. Louis that look after our North American customers. We don't have any such benefit over here because we don't have a facility in Europe. So we don't have any teams that can do that. We will work with other MROs if we have a customer that's in Europe that needs some support or some warranty evaluation. We can do that by working with our partners in a sense, but other MROs who are here in Europe. There are sort of, what's the word? Not enemies, that's too strong a word, but there are counterparts, and yeah.
Also, something that's so important is the regulatory approvals and the authorizations. So the bodies that you have to comply with are, there's quite a good list there. I remember one of the ones which I'm pretty used to because of working in Saudi Arabia for so long, which was GACA.
Yeah.
You also cover, the FAA, EASA. You've got TCCA. You've got and you've got the Qatari and the Hong Kong and also the Bermuda.
That's it. And we have all those. We have GACA as well. So we've got CAAC, absolutely, EASA. You need them all really, because your customer base away from North America is so broad across so many different regulatory authorities and countries. The more you have, the better opportunity you have of winning this stuff.
Now, something I wanted to ask you: special mission. Now, can you give us a little bit of a background on that?
Yes, it's actually a good strength of ours. It probably should have been mentioned earlier in my opening there. Special missions is something that the company has been very successful with, right actually from turboprop platforms like the Q400, where we've done firefighting capability upgrades, medevac upgrades, right through to global aircraft surveillance systems for governments. And actually, I have one live at the moment that I'm working for a European government, which is a Challenger maritime surveillance platform. So we're just looking at that right now. So yeah, special missions is something that we are very proud of and have been very successful with, including medevac ops, as I say, surveillance ops, right through to almost military style. So a bit hush hush in some cases.
And that's reflected in the values on under the special missions of intelligence, imagination, and ingenuity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the technologies that are coming and always coming, of course, you know, whether it's laser ref stuff and everything else that's going on, it's stunning and very impressive.
Yes, yeah, no, it's amazing. And then we come to some of the paint jobs that you guys have done, which are also spectacular.
Absolutely. You know, you choose it, we'll paint it. You know, we do a whole variety from metallic, different striping, different color schemes. We are flying colors after all. We can do pretty much anything. And now we've got our super state-of-the-art new paint shop. Shouldn't be called a shop, really. It's a really super facility with all the latest mod cons, both from an extraction and stripping point of view to applications. So we're right up to speed, and that is an attraction to a number of my customers in particular, because paint in Europe is getting tougher to achieve and to find. So we're in a good place with paint.
I can imagine. What's the most unusual thing you've ever seen in your career history as far as colouring?
Oh my goodness, there've been a few, and the ones that catch my eye are the most awful ones.
Yeah.
Sort of greens, browns, and oranges, or burgundies with black and brown, or whatever it might be. Very odd stuff. Obviously, the classics. I like the Matterhorn whites with the perfectly nice stripes and winglet designs, and maybe some logoing.
So Andrew, now we now know what stands out as far as you're concerned, but I understand you've got a couple of really creative capabilities with regards to the paintwork.
Yeah, we work on a chronology platform. We can do that, which is this fantastic paint system where you can look at an aeroplane from one angle and it looks blue, and as you walk around the aircraft it will change to a green or to a grey. So there's some high skill sets going into applying that system. Metallic, we do metallic striping. I've actually been quoting recently for an entire metallic paint scheme, which isn't cheap, but we are capable to doing all that. And with our new paint facility, it is absolutely state of the art. So we've got the latest environmental systems in place to remove chemicals, to filter the air, all those good things. So we're in a good place.
Yeah, very important these days, and people are taking a lot more notice of it now, and it proves when an organisation cares, it makes a big impact.
It does, and that, sorry, Chris, and that actually comes back to a couple of owners who've spoken to me about it. So that's the owners themselves thinking about the environment. You know, is this something I should really be doing? Am I damaging anything? And if you can placate their concerns by saying, no, we've got state-of-the-art air filtration, water filtration systems, they're more than happy. They like that.
That's a positive thing now that's coming, maybe not directly out of this pandemic, but it's making people realise that you have to care more about so many different things, and it's part of the overall sustainability program and sustainability focus that every individual is looking at now, because everybody's awareness has been enhanced by all of this negativity and, you know, delaying and pulling back industries and business and basic things that we want to do in life. So I think there'll be an awful lot of choices made by feet as to which companies they use, which companies they want to work for, why they want to do certain things, and also for people to be able to qualify why they're doing something.
Sure. Yep, I can't fault you there. I think you're absolutely right. I think there's a lot more awareness now. I mean, I'm sure you, back in the day, like myself, we used to go into paint shops in Southend and other places, and there were disasters. They were really, really quite awful places, and just smelt of all sorts of chemicals. And, you know, you wanted to get out of the place as soon as you possibly could. But these days, or certainly in our case, we have a really excellent environment there. It's
amazing how things have progressed. When you were talking about the changing of the colour of the aircraft, it reminded me of, I don't know how many people will be listening that are as old as me, but of tonic suits and tonic trousers back in the day, where if the sun or the light caught it, it was a completely different colour from one angle to the other.
Yeah, were they something like shark skin or something? Was that sort of that sort of era?
Yeah.
But I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good, good. Now, Andrew, obviously our industry has gone through, and it's something that's synonymous with our industry is, I don't know, every 8, 9 or 10 years, we go through something absolutely terrible for the industry and the world, actually. I mean, whether it's the Gulf War, the financial crisis, 9/11, or this damn COVID, it's always something there to challenge.
Mm.
But out of it comes a huge amount of improvement, innovation. Now we're looking at digitization, we're looking at e-commerce. So many things have been sped up as a result of us all being, locked down for the last year or so. It's making a huge difference. Now, what are you seeing as the real positives that have come out of this particular period, and what do you think will be the real differences now moving forward?
Good question, sir. I think there's still some things to play out. I still think we've got to get through the closure of the pandemic to see how people do come back. So we've got to let that play out a bit. I think seeing the level of interest and the activity levels is very encouraging. I think technologies will continue to develop and develop very fast. So from our perspective, there's always going to be the next level of the game where you moving up, you're installing something new, whether it's a satellite system, a communication system, which is enabling people to work in their airplane at 50,000 feet as if they're sat in their kitchen at home. And that will continue to develop. And I think now with the need to communicate even more through these systems, I think there will be more and more demand going forward for it. So I see positives there for sure.
Yeah, no,
Does
it's
that answer your question?
amazing now what people expect to maintain that position of normalness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to, as I say, there's things to play out yet. It's going to be interesting to see how these high net worth individuals really do feel about leaving their homes and going across the world. It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. It will come, but I think it's going to require some acceleration of confidence. And once one or two start doing it, or one or two corporations start doing it, then they think, well, we better get into this game, and they'll start moving. There'll probably be an avalanche then and a rush to get traveling around the world. But it may take some months yet, maybe another year yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's definitely coming. It's coming quicker than people expect. But also, even as quick as it comes, I think people are still going to be reluctant to be exposed to huge numbers and volumes of people, unless there are certain things like speed testing or something to confirm that if you do get involved in a large group of people, that there's some other protection to give you confidence that you're not going to be worrying about it all the time, and you can enjoy whatever the experience is.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just reminded me of a system that we've teamed with a company called Aviation Clean Air,
Yeah,
which is a very sensitive and very advanced form of removing any sort of bug from the cabin air. And we've tied in with the OEM for that, and we're looking at installations right now because, again, these owners and their families, they want to be as protected as much as they can.
Yeah, so important. Now, Andrew, you yourself have been on a journey. So I know for a fact that way back in the day, so probably not as old as me, and not in the two-tone tonic suits, but with regards to going back to the Emirates days with Tim Clark and the first couple of 727-200s. But you've had lots of steps, in the business that have brought you to where you are. Do you want to just give us a few of those stops on your career journey?
Yes, it seems a long way back now, but no, it's been a super career. I fell in love with aviation as a teenager and went straight into work from school. Started in the airliner flight operations end of things, moved into charter sales. Further flight ops, then maintenance sales. Aircraft sales has really been my main activity over my career, I would think, along with MRO and maintenance sales. So there have been lots of variations, lots of steps, different types of companies, different locations. The only thing I've never actually done is worked for an OEM. I've never actually worked for a manufacturer, whether that's an engine manufacturer or an aircraft manufacturer. It's about the only thing that's missing on my CV. I think I'm running out of time to add that now, but it's been a terrific career, and there's been lots of fantastic moments and some very worrying times as well. As you said, with the cycles of life that we've seen over the last few decades, when the world drops away and aviation drops out, you do get quite anxious. But I've been fortunate enough to be employed and to carry on. It's been great.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic industry, but with those ups and downs, it does make you a lot more resilient and you know, a lot more agile, and you're able to pivot a little bit and take a different direction.
Yeah.
But it's an industry that once you're in, it's very difficult to, you know, not to be part of.
Absolutely. It definitely gets in your blood, this game, without doubt. But I'm still at that teenager, you know, when I see an aeroplane going over the house, you know, I'm still up there going, I wonder what that is, where it's going. You know, that's still at my core. I just love the fact these airplanes, A, can fly, they get airborne, they can go as far as they do. And just the movement of the world and the way people get around, it's fascinating stuff. And corporate aviation, I've always loved, because there's no predictability to it at all. And that goes from booking a charter on a Monday morning to, you know, somebody wanting to change an airplane on the Friday. It's always so many variables in business aviation, which no one day is the same, that's for sure.
I'm trying to think of that. What's that saying? We used it, or somebody used it on one of the podcasts we've just had recently. I think it was Alessandra Testa from Jet Club. Their CEO, he loved the saying, which goes something like, a kilometre of road can take you 1 kilometre, but a kilometre of runway can take you anywhere.
Absolutely. That's a very, very good analogy. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Runways are the most important roads in any city.
Yeah, and especially in emergency situations.
Yes, when you've got to do a runner.
Yeah, I've been in a few of them. But now, just coming back to something else, I once sat next to a guy on a plane, and he was a script writer, and he was just so excited about aircraft. And to be fair, the guy could not stop talking, and he was getting on my nerves a little bit. But I just said to him, I said, how are you so excited about it? He said, and I've never, ever met somebody who loved flying as much as him.
Right.
But he said, if you pick any plane, and he said, if you wanted to make a film or a series about the passengers on that plane, you would have so many different stories to throw into the mix as to why they were all on that plane at the same time.
That's very true. Absolutely. That's it. It brings the world together into small areas, whether it's the airport or the aircraft itself. It brings all these mix of cultures, individuals, age groups, you name it. It really mixes it up. Certainly on the airline side of things, of course.
Yeah.
But likewise on the business jets, you know, you get there's high net worth individuals, billions of them all over the world. And you know, they may not want to mix with each other in the aircraft, but if you were standing at an FBO gate all day, the different nationalities and types of airplanes that come and go with those individuals boarding and deboarding, it's again a real mixture, real variable.
Yeah, probably every FBO has got a book or a film that could be made very, very easily.
Yes, absolutely. That's if the individuals allow you to film it and do what you want to do.
Exactly. Now, as the son of a diplomat, obviously you had travel in the blood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that quite clearly you've got a passion for. Currently, with your company now, Flying Colours, what would you say will be the biggest opportunity that you've got now moving ahead?
Biggest opportunity I have now, I think, is to continue the path of finding these individuals and these management companies, talking to the management companies. There are clearly interest and demand for all the types we look after. There are over 900 globals, for example, in operation now, which is astounding.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of business to go around. I think the opportunities lie not just with those operators and with the owners, but we touched on it before, asset management with the banks, So from my point of view, I just continue to see this wave enlarging. I think this type of aeroplane, whether it's Challenger, Lear, whatever, is going to continue, not so much the Lear now, of course, but there's always going to be demand. And I think that's exciting. I think that the future looks bright.
Yeah, Andrew. So coming back to the that lovely word, which I think people are going to use a lot more now, being care. It's nice to see that your organisation, they've got a term, the flying colours Corp University, but also they're very big now on digital training and looking after the people. Making sure there's succession, there's development, and also keeping people busy with their updated knowledge.
Yep.
I know this started pre-pandemic with one of your colleagues called Spencer Hogarth. Right.
Yes, absolutely. Spencer's doing a great job. From my perspective, I believe it's in a development phase still, but what's the word? I've lost the word now, but it's evidence of the company's desire to keep at the digital front edge, the technology front edge, and to be able to open up that capability to all learn and grow together as a unit. Yeah. Whether it's our Singapore facility or whether it's the two facilities in North America, they can all converse together and learn and grow together. And it helps people develop their skill base, whether it's the guys on the shop floor or whether it's people in administration and recruitment, whatever it might be. So yes, it's the way the company thinks about future technologies and capabilities, and that goes right through the company into the hangar as well. Again, coming back to the paint shop, those sort of technologies are exciting opportunities for the future.
It says a lot. It says a lot for any company that focuses on their, on their teams and the development of their teams, and not just because it's necessary for currency of competence.
Sure.
It shows that you care, and then I'm pretty sure that it would, it'd come out and helping the company with productivity and efficiencies and ideas, food for thought, etc. So it's a great way of enhancing everything.
Absolutely agree with you. Investing in your people gives you your returns. If you look after the people and you feel they're part of the team and they're growing with you, then you'll get the response from them. And that response is always better quality, better return on man hours, whatever it might be. There's a commitment back into the company. So it's a winner all around.
And also then if it's backed up with some, on the job training and also competency checking, so that from a compliance perspective, the whole business has got control of what's expected and what's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're taking school leavers, young 20-year-old somebody or other, and that they can grow with the business. They see a future. And I think the company, the family down, are very keen on that sort of apprenticeship approach, if you like, to encourage people into the business and then help them with their learning of the business.
Yeah. So would you say that's the Gillespie family DNA and culture?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you a little funny story. When I went to meet the family for the first time, as you touched on, my family were travelers, so they were not travelers, they were diplomats. But I said to Eric Gillespie, I said, so I blame my parents for my attraction to aviation. He said, well, so do I, because his family have been in the business and he's grown into the business. And I think that's a good sort of analogy of the way the family think. And they want to expand that to, the local Ontario individuals. They want to grow with the local area.
Yeah.
Have those people working for us and developing their skills.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing if you can pass that, that hunger and engagement and excitement. And I still maintain, whenever anybody sits on an aircraft, doesn't matter how often you've done it, you can see that people are excited. Whether that's because they know where they're going, where they're leaving is a different matter. But there's there's an air of excitement. But if you look out the window and you see everything that goes on the tarmac and before you get there and at check-in, there are so many people in so many different skills,
right,
like corridors, that make everything tick. And then if it happens in one airport, it happens where you land, it happens where you transit, it happens all over the world.
Yep.
And it's something that you can take and go wherever you want. And if anybody has had the chance to live and move around in this wonderful world and this beautiful industry, it's a gift in itself.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I can only imagine how many individuals are involved in an A380 turnaround. It must come into the 50s, 60s per aircraft. You know, it's whether it's the fuelers, the handlers, the engineers, the pilots, the crew. It's fantastic. Always exciting. Always exciting.
Yeah.
And always exciting to know where you're going as well, or worrying depending on where you're going.
Yeah. And I must admit, some of my most relieved experiences is when you're leaving somewhere and it's a crazy environment, and then somebody just is waiting at the door to take your, you know, to make sure that you're going to the right seat, and they say something like "Welcome home, sir," or "It's good to have you back," or "Good." It's such a lovely feeling when you get on that aircraft.
Absolutely. I've been there a few times. Yeah. I won't name countries, but there are some ones that I've been very happy to leave. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what makes the whole world so exciting and so different.
Yeah.
Well, sir, listen, thank you very much for your time. Good luck
Pleasure.
with the challenge. And obviously it's a new area of responsibility for you and for the company. And I wish you all great success. I don't see any reason as to why not. And please tell the Gillespie family, when I said "Pimp My Plane," it was just a reference to something that was fondly watched by millions of people over the years.
Absolutely. And the more I think about it, I think that's a very accurate way to describe it. I think we can pimp up anything.
Yeah. There's a thought to end the podcast on, eh?
There we go. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for the opportunity to chat to you today. And thanks again, and look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And really, really appreciate your time, and good luck with everything.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. See you out.